Let's shift our focus to the Western Cape now. After being sidelined by the restrictions imposed during the COVID-19 pandemic, Cape Town has reclaimed its place as the location of choice for filmmakers. A busy season saw the Cape Town Film Permit Office issue over 3,900 permits in the past year. For more on this now, we're joined by the Mayoral Committee Member for Safety and Security, JP Smith. JP, thank you for your time. As always, we've been through a rather intense last few weeks on the weather front in Cape Town. Before we even start talking about the beautiful films and TV series that are being made, Cape Town citizens have really been experiencing the Cape of Storms the last few weeks. Saw some flooding and the like over the last few weeks, and another massive cold front hitting Cape Town as we speak. What is the latest in terms of preparedness from the city side for the weather that's expected?
We have had the most extraordinary extreme weather, you're correct, and luckily the city's disaster operations centre and our different departments are well prepped for this. We are accustomed to these kind of annual extreme or heavy weather incidents. This year the rain has been far more significant than most. Last night, the rain was extremely heavy, and a couple of weeks ago we saw overnight rain of 60 millimeters. And that has indeed tested our stormwater systems and our winter preparedness and our response by our emergency services and the coordination of all of that by the Disaster Operations Centre, which I think worked reasonably well. The biggest challenge, as always, being dumping that finds its way into stormwater systems and then blocks those systems.
And I suppose what makes things a little bit worse is that some areas are still kind of just getting on their feet after the last big rains that you had just a few weeks ago. We saw just last weekend visuals of a makeshift road that was being rebuilt just to connect a place like Citrusdal to the rest of the city again. What kind of impact will this latest rain, do you think, have on those areas that are still recovering?
Within the city of Cape Town, we haven't had any roads permanently impacted or impacted beyond the initial rains. Elsewhere in the province, the rains were extremely severe and we had rivers burst their banks. And that led to a number of roads that were closed that they were busy fixing. I spoke to the MEC, Tasha Simmers, the Provincial Minister for Infrastructure and Roads, and he was talking yesterday or doing an interview talking about the number of roads still being rehabilitated or restored to use. It was about a third of the roads that was still left with some kind of challenge in terms of what was originally impacted. So I think decent progress, but certainly more significant weather than we're accustomed to.
About some more positive news, and that's in the film sector in Cape Town. I remember speaking to the head of Cape Town, the Cape Town Film Studio, just as we were coming out of lockdown, and he was very excited because the applications and the phone calls just querying using the film studio itself was really starting to pour in, which was much needed in the industry there. But now we're saying in terms of the Cape Town Film Office and the amount of paperwork that they've had to process, you're looking at almost 4,000 permits that's been given out just in the last year alone. This is great news for a very important part of the local economy, isn't it?
Absolutely. 35,000 jobs that are created by this sector in the city. You can multiply that by 4 or 5 for the number of people who are impacted by it. So extremely important. And of course, around that figure, just on 4,000 permits, we've seen the sector rebound very substantially. Part of that is because of just the sheer resilience of the sector, the fact that the city has attractive infrastructure and scenery that brings filmmakers and commercial shoots and still shoots here, and that we have good, strong production teams that are able to contract series like Blood and Water. It's been extremely popular around the world, and high quality post-production and other facilities. So the combination of that is drawing the industry, and from our side, we've been able to, through our film and event permitting office, be very supportive, and we've just launched our film fund. We'll be advertising that soon for the first intake of options or of interested parties, and that I think will create a further stimulus to these almost 4,000 permits, of which 100 are for proper forms, feature forms. That is really exciting. The ecosystem of that affects a lot of different people in Cape Town in terms of transport, hospitality, vehicle rental, set building, all the related ecosystem of the industry is very extensive and touches many lives in Cape Town.
Absolutely. Let's talk about those numbers now. Some 7,400 location bookings were processed by that office. You're looking at approximately 5 billion rand in terms of contributions to the local economy annually. And it's created 35,000 jobs. Now, in these tough economic times we're living in, that can only be seen as a massive positive. You're talking about other stimulus that you're looking at launching. Do you have some kind of insight that thinks that you can grow that number in terms of job creation even further?
So we're confident that you can just about double these figures. There is certainly the possibility to do more uptake. If we can stimulate the industry with the film fund, we think we can draw some additional productions. As with our events fund, it's starting small so we can get a handle on it with only 4 million rand in the first year. But that's where our events budget started, and that events budget is now sitting at 86 million this year. 1,700 events permits issued, and the eventing industry going strong. This year has been an insane year for eventing, which is the partner of the film industry. The two go hand in hand. A major event like Formula E immediately brings more interest from the film industry, and both of those support the tourism industry, and that's about another 350,000 jobs. Events industry, slightly bigger even in terms of job creation than the film industry, and that is going to yield us in the next few weeks the Netball World Cup, first time in Africa, bringing an end to a season of women's major international events, including ice hockey international championships, sure, and other events such as the two women's golf championships, the women T20s, cricket championships. That's really done a lot to profile us as an international sporting destination. And every person who sees that online is considering us as a tourism option, and the same is being done by the film industry. If you see the setup shots for something like Blood and Water around our city, it does wonders for the tourism stimulus as well.
And I suppose the great thing about that, as we wrap our conversation, is the fact that these crews aren't coming in with their full crews. They're coming in knowing full well that they can trust the skills and the experts that live in Cape Town and do their business in Cape Town, and they can very much just give a lot of the work out to them and ensure that their product is still of a high quality. Thank you so much for your time. We look forward to even more positive news on the filming front coming out of Cape Town. That's JP Smith, the Cape Town mayoral committee member for safety and security, joining us there.